And I'll probably just say, hey, on the board behind me, because I got that shit memorized anyway.
Exactly.
And I'm going to be all up in your business here.
All
But you know
up in
what?
here, baby. Let's go.
Hey, I got the same holster in a different pattern.
Nice.
I threw it away, though.
What is happening, all you LARPers out there? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we have a very special video for you guys. As you can see, we're sitting here with two of the gentlemen from OTG, Orion Training Group. We have Jared and Jason. So I just want to welcome them to the channel.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. Thanks for being here. So I took a course with you guys a while ago, and ever since then, I've been wanting to put out a video, but I just didn't feel like anything was, I would say on camera, would be able to do it justice for how much I learned. Really just want to encourage all of you guys, as you know, to get out there and train, especially with guys who know what they're talking about and not just your cousin Jimmy. But I digress. I wanted to sit down with these guys and go over kind of what you guys can expect to learn when you take a class with OTG and what you're getting, what the value you're getting out of your money and your time you're spending, obviously, because we all have limited resources and we have to use them very wisely. So with that being said, do you, either one of you guys just want to jump into kind of an overarching outline of what you can expect to learn in a 3-day course?
Okay, so what you can expect to learn in a 3-day course is sort of going to reflect what we would call a learning objective. You'll see that on the website. So when you go to our website and it has on there objective of the course or course focus, it will say something like, by the end of the course, students will be able to effectively clear a residential size structure in 3 to 4 man teams while mitigating force-on-force threats or something to that effect. But that's a lot of special words. It's a lot of just flowery language, right? What you're actually going to get out of that is the principles, which you can see on the board behind me, CQB principles, safety, security, speed, surprise, violence of action, how those things affect everything else you're doing. You'll get the 5-step entry process that you're going to use on every room throughout the class. And you've been through a course, like you said. Yeah. So how many times in a class did that get referenced?
Every single rep.
Every single rep?
Every
Okay.
single rep, yeah.
Yeah, so if it's every single rep, it's something we do foundationally. So we do a little bit of whiteboard, but it's really, really hands-on. It's probably about in a 3-day course, it's probably about 30 hours, roughly, maybe 28 if you count breaks and stuff like that. And maybe 2 hours of that is whiteboard, and the rest of it is boots on the ground, moving. We really try to make sure you don't have a lot of downtime. So you're going to get that entry process, those principles, those things you do repeated a lot, but you're really going to learn how to deal with the stuff that you see every day, whether it's a commercial building, a residential building. You're dealing with open doors, closed doors, shoot and no-shoot targets, dead space, opposing angles. And if you're in a force-on-force class, which if you don't know what that means, it means you get to shoot at real people with non-lethal training ammunition, and they get to shoot back.
Oh, yeah.
So
They shoot back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that
you
added a little spice to
Yeah,
tell them about your experience with that.
Yeah, so here, scoot in a little bit, because I know we're three big boys here, but you
Right.
stay right where you're at. I
Not
want to
me,
make sure
I'm
we're all...
small.
We're large mammals, yeah.
I could just sit in his lap.
So for me, the Sims were mind-blowing. As a civilian, I never even knew they really existed. So shooting with simunition or more mind-blowing, getting shot at with simunition was a very distinct, it was a very memorable experience because if you've never been in a gunfight, that's as close as you can really get without actually shedding blood. So for me, that was really when the principles that had been being drilled day one and getting into day two with the paper targets had really come to show how important they are, how important it is to plate your guy and deliver him to the door and all those little things that, you know, they were just words before. Now they're pain.
Yeah.
And now, you know, in the real world, it's death.
Yeah,
So,
and you mess up something principle-based movement, and then you get shot for it. And what's it teach you?
not to fuck it up again.
Yeah, not to do
exactly,
that.
Exactly.
So,
and if you get your buddy shot, it's even worse. 'Cause you're like, fuck, man.
What do you call it, Jason?
Ballistic counseling.
Yeah. Some people say pain retains, right? Yeah. So if you're watching this and you're going, well, I don't want to go get shot at the first time I learn it. Cool. We have the same exact class, not force on force, and it's just force on paper.
And look, and you don't get shot at the very first day.
Exactly.
We have to build you up to that because we don't expect you to be able to run and gun inside of a structure or the shoot house and just, you know, fucking crush it. So we build you up. We start with the baby steps of footwork. You know, how much time do we spend on just getting you set up at the threshold to get through the threshold, clear your corner, collapse your sector of fire, continue to move and look for work.
Yep.
You know,
It should be on the board behind me.
Yeah, and I have a lot of things just came to my mind because you're refreshing a lot of the things I learned. So first of all, one thing I love, and I'm saying this not to blow smoke again, I just really don't see this out of any other training companies that you guys put out the information that you teach in classes, most of it in videos online for free.
Yep.
And I know you guys have a Patreon as well, which if you guys aren't already, go check these guys out on YouTube, Instagram, check out their Patreon. It's all fucking top level stuff and I love it. But they don't have a threshold either. You don't have to have a prereq to sign up for these classes, which is amazing. I'd never done CQB in my life. I'm not a military, not a not law enforcement. And I walked in and I walked out at the same level or at a greater level than even some of the sheriff guys and other guys in the course. So there's no prereqs, which is awesome, but they also, which is great because there's no civilian off the street can be like, oh, I'm not good enough or I'm not.
Yeah, there's no gatekeeping.
Exactly. But also in that same respect, you guys moved at the pace of the class and you made sure that before we moved on to any other lesson that everybody had it down. You made everyone look you in the eyes. You know, you did. Everybody got this. We made sure everyone had it down before we moved on, and that just went a long way for especially all the new guys. I mean, we had people from all walks of life in that class.
You know, what kind of instructor would I be at the end of the day, and you still had a question, and I never bothered to answer your question? You're like, man, I feel like as a consumer, I feel like I've been left out. I didn't get all my questions answered. So that's why we start with the very basics with no expectations. People coming in to go, you know, I must have this level of training. No, you don't. I mean, there's people here today in this class that we're at TRG that have zero CQB experience, such as yourself. And we build you up in order to do the exact thing that he said a minute ago, was to clear a structure with a small unit of people with multiple problems, danger areas, dead spaces, open and closed doors, shoot, no shoot, all that decision-making process. And it takes time to build you up to that. You know, we didn't just start out shooting you and be like, yeah, haha, we pushed your shit in and you suck. It's no, man, we want you to win. And then we're gonna make it a little bit more stressful. Then a little bit more stressful in the final, or the FTX is, are you able to do the same things with that force-on-force factor? And a lot of the runs that you guys did, there wasn't a time where the good guys got hit. It was y'all putting rounds on the bad guys, putting them down. So you're doing the techniques correctly and effectively and winning at that situation, that problem. So you're solving the problem as a team.
That reflects the adult learning model is what he just talked about and what you just said. The adult learning model in a very, very short synopsis is what we use. You crawl, you walk, you run. But what does that really look like? Well, we put it on the whiteboard, and then we demo everything. If you have an instructor who doesn't demo, he's not an instructor. He's stealing your money. You have to have them demonstrate what they're talking about and do it effectively. So we talk about it and we demo it.
Yeah, and another point, just another compliment to you guys. During that class, we were at the Ranch in Dilly, Texas, awesome facility, and there's a catwalk. We watched you guys do it on the catwalk, and the coolest thing that I thought was the coolest thing about y'all's class was you showed us every way there was to do it, every acceptable way that modern, whether it be the teams or whoever it is training CQB. Okay, we got crossover, we got button hook, and we got center check, and you showed us all three, and you let us decide based off of what we saw.
You pick your SOP.
Exactly. You let us all decide, and it's like, okay, well, if we're having trouble, because we were mixing and matching and whatnot, running with different teams, then okay, we might have to dial it back. I'm going to tell you what you're doing, but you get to see all three of them. You get to watch y'all run it. And same thing with open and closed door procedures. Everything that y'all did, you showed every single way there was to do it, and then you explained why you prefer X, Y, Z. And a lot of times you and Will didn't always agree on, every single little thing, or, on the button hook where you place your foot and little things like that. But you also explained why you disagreed. And so I love that you give the students the opportunity to decide for themselves.
Yeah, and so that reflects a lot of our methodology is we all have different preferences, right? And if I only taught you what I liked, I'm doing a disservice because he has experience I don't have. And Will has experience I don't have. Blake has experience I don't have. Joe, Rob, all these different people have experience that I don't have. So if we did it the Jared way, you would suffer as a consumer because you're missing out on information that is vetted and from a great source. So it cannot be just that. It has to be an amalgamation of all these different techniques.
That's a big word.
That's a big word. I could have said conglomerate, combination.
Golly, I'm blown away.
You put all that shit together, and it turns out that some of it doesn't jive, right? You can't always do 14 different methods, so you have to pick an SOP, and that is an intrinsic value in classes with us, is we will show you 3 to 4 methods, and we say, which one do y'all prefer as a class? And they pick it, and then they can stick to it, and now they all are on the same sheet of music, making an informed decision, and not just being told, you're going to do it this way, which is what you get in a lot of courses.
Yeah. So I think
Extremely approachable. I just want to throw that out.
Oh, thank you.
So you don't feel you see, we're sharing the stick over here.
Here, use me.
We're playing good. I was just gonna say they're extremely approachable. I know this might seem like they got me like 2 guns to my chest. Like, no, I would tell you guys I was gonna do a review. Like I was gonna do just a talking about it in my studio by myself, but I just didn't know the context. I mean, I learned it in the class, but I don't know the terminology
You
like
feel
y'all do.
That single-sided interview will do what you wanted.
Exactly.
What you got from the class.
I wanted you guys to get, and I'm fucking it up right now because I'm talking so much.
So cool. Give me that. Yeah.
Here's the stick, Jason.
So to kind of piggyback off what Jared is saying is that it's not OTG's way of doing CQB. We have a vast background of people that have done it, both from the military side, the law enforcement side. Blake was a 20-year Wakanda Marine, so he did CQB a certain way. Myself and Joe and Lincoln all did CQB through the recapture tactics and the CQB program in the Marine Corps. So we have a lot of CQB experience.
We even have a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, so what we took was all the best parts of everything that we've experienced from the Navy side of it, from the Marine Corps side of it, from the law enforcement side of it, and put it together, and we all come together and say, okay, what can we agree on? This particular technique works. That particular technique, not so much. So we harvested all of the good, just like much as whenever you go to a class, you pick up the good parts that you want, you put it in your dump pouch, you put it in your toolbox, and you roll out. Some of the stuff that you don't agree with, you just push that stuff to the side. So we put together a lot of heads in the CQB game, for lack of better words, and in that environment, work through those problems, and then give the end consumer, because that's what you are. You're a professional end user and a consumer. Okay, look, here is the way to do things. You pick what's works best for you, because it may be left-handed, so he's got to enter the room this way, or Jared's right-handed, so he's got to enter the room this way. So what works best for you as a professional end user is what you would want to apply. It's not my way or Jared's way. It's a way to do things to suit you, right? The professional end user. So we put together all of our knowledge to bring the consumer a really good, substantial product that's easily, I give it to you, you process it, digest it, and then you go out there and perform it. And it's not, I'm not speaking or using terms or speaking in language that you can't understand. It's broken down, it's simplified. I demo it, I demo everything, whether it be live fire, dry fire, it don't matter, any fire. I will show you what right looks like, and it's up for you to go kind of duplicate it. And if you have a problem, no big deal. Hey man, I messed it up, cool, go do it again, right? And some of the things that you like, man, I really messed that up. I want to do it again. Go do it.
Absolutely, and you treat us like adults. You give us the tools. You let us decide for ourselves. There's no talking down. And again, the approachable thing was big for me because even just as a regular civilian going to a range, just an RSO, everyone knows the asshole. Like, I hate going to certain ranges because RSO walks up and treats you like you're a little child, doesn't know what he's doing, never coming back here again. You know what I mean? But just in this environment, it is very much, you guys work very hard, and it shows to build a team working environment where there's communications wide open. You joke around, you keep it lighthearted, you keep it fun, and that keeps everybody in the open-minded mind space instead of if guys are just being hard asses, then they shell up and then that's it. You're not going to be.
That's such projection, right? If I got to act hard in front of a bunch of students that paid me money to be here, I'm doing that for my ego.
Insecurity as well.
Right, exactly.
I said it, yeah.
Yeah, and you're insecure, and I don't feel that way. I just want these guys to learn, and I don't have to play anybody because I'm already the dude.
Bitch, I'm him, quit playing. Tryna ride with a boss, what bitch get in?
You know what I mean?
you are.
You already paid for me to be here. I don't have to act like anything.
Yeah.
So
to add on to that, why do we teach people how to do CQB? I mean, that's a crazy concept, and a lot of people are like, man, civilians don't need to know how to do that. And I go, cool. Do you live in a house?
I do.
Yeah, I live in a house.
yeah, that's my favorite rebuttal. If you
Jared
live
lives
in a house, it might be for you.
So if you live in a structure, listen, we don't expect you, because like we told you in the class, CQB is dangerous. It's not 100% safe. You're going to give up something like your back in order to get to a room and hoping that your buddy is quick enough to protect you from whatever's going on in the other corner. So you're giving up something to get something. We don't want you to have to go do CQB. The shit is dangerous. But also, we're giving you the tools necessary that in the event that something happens at your house, or you hear a bump in the night, or somebody's at your door, that you're able to work angles inside of your residence a little bit more effectively than you were before you came. So you have a better understanding of how to work angles, how to work apexes of a doorway, how do my feet move through that doorway in order to be able to present my gun and my plates or my pistol or whatever towards that problem, go solve that, because now I understand PID is important, because we also gave you shoot, no shoot targets at first. And then we went to shoot, no shoot people. Just making entry into a room, having to process the room and people inside of, if I shoot at this person, or my kids on the other side of that door. So my shots, one, must be accurate, must be deadly, and it must be effective in that environment, right? So we teach that skill set to civilians so that they can have a better understanding and mindset of, in the event that I ever find myself in this scenario, how am I able to solve this problem? Working these angles, working these apexes, working these door frames in order to go maybe defeat or drive away that opposing.
Yeah, and I want to speak a little bit on that too. We don't use scenarios in class. So, for example, the class right here, Trident Response Group that we're teaching, and God bless them for letting us use this facility, by the way. Trident Response
really
Group,
nice,
It's
yeah.
so nice. We have 16 people in the class. I think like 9 or 10 of them are cops. 3 of them are church security, and the other 3 or 4 are just enthusiasts, right? They're really interested in the stuff, and they want to train. We don't make a distinction between any of them. We don't teach them anything different because we don't use scenarios. If you're watching this and you dry fire, which hopefully you, right? If they don't,
Yeah, get on that
stop
shit.
following them if you don't dry fire. Yeah.
Yeah, unsubscribe, dude.
Unsubscribe.
Don't fucking.
Unsubscribe. Real talk. If you dry fire, do you give yourself a scenario every time you're like, okay, the tyrants have taken over and now I have to do an upward press? No, you just build a skill that you know has applicability in almost any situation.
Yep.
All right, so if I have to pan a door during an active shooter, during a home invasion, or during a warrant, or during the end of the world, does it matter?
No, you're panning it the same way.
You're panning it the same way. So we don't get into justification of tactics because then we get into utilitarian ethics and trying to tell people why they need something. And that ain't my job.
Yeah.
If you're an American citizen and you believe in the Second Amendment, you should probably know how to apply tactics.
Yeah, and just to answer a rebuttal that, you're like, hey, people will give you guys criticism for training civilians. And my answer to that is fuck you, first of all. Second of all, if you actually think that's a reasonable question to ask, then why wouldn't you ask the same question about, well, then why do you need a gun? Yeah, exactly. If you don't need the skills in order in which to use a weapon or tool, right, like a gun, then
Why do I need the weapon?
It's the same argument, exactly.
And
So
it's very small-minded, and it's, again, based in ego.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't serve like I did. You don't have the skills I have. You don't need that thing. And
Yeah, that's the worst.
That's
I'm telling you,
awful.
as a civilian, it is the most toxic thing about approaching anybody that's in the military or anybody that was in law enforcement, because you don't know if you're going to get that guy or the super humble. Usually, it's a super humble dude.
Yep.
But I've run into a few guys who are just like, "Oh, you have a YouTube channel. Who the fuck are you? What did you ever do?" And it's like, dude, I'm just a guy who loves guns and who loves America and wants to
Right.
encourage more regular, good people to be able to defend themselves and defend freedom. It starts at the micro level, your family, your home, then your community, your state, and so on and so forth. But
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not out here praying for the end of the world, but shit, if you watch anything that's going around, it's just like, dude,
Yeah.
rather need it, not have it.
And that's why we don't teach on scenarios as well, because we don't want to fearmonger, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but I'll take that.
So back to the class.
Yeah, well, so
Yeah,
in this,
perfect.
again, in this class, we're not giving any scenarios based on any of that.
That was
right?
my bad.
No, this was very
Yeah.
good because it's talking about who we are, why we teach what we teach. And in this class, we don't teach based on a scenario and we don't gatekeep. And what we often have happen is, like this class we taught in Michigan a couple weeks ago, taught the same class in Michigan but force on paper only. The facility didn't support force on force just for some other factors. We had 2 or 3 cops in that class and then the majority civilians. And the cops that came to that class didn't really understand what open enrollment for civilians meant. So they were kind of surprised that there was like 13 civilians in the class. Not because they didn't want them to be there, but they were like, y'all are interested in this? Y'all don't do this for work and you want to take this class? And everyone was like, do you watch the fucking news? Right? And then what did they say at the end of the class? What did the cops say at the end of the class about having civilians in it?
Didn't know that y'all would take this so personal. Most cops that go to training don't really care to be there. They're worried about when's lunch and when are we leaving, and never mind what happens in between, that they're very eager to get out of there and not really absorb training. But those civilians were hang around late, ask questions throughout the entire day, asked to get more reps, and the cops were actually blown away that the civilian populace was eager and desired and yearned that training, that
and
knowledge.
they said, we wish that cops were as driven to train as you guys.
Yeah.
So the culture among civilians is so positive, and the culture often in law enforcement is like, I want to go home. This shit sucks.
Yeah.
Right?
You're punching a ticket. Yeah.
Right. So there's a drive and there's a hunger in what we are doing for people, that they're getting something different than you get out of like a departmental or regimented training. Right?
Yeah, and it means a lot. I know we're talking a little bit off topic, but the fact that you guys train civilians, open enrollment, you guys are very vocal about how important it is for regular civilians to have these skills. And I mean, it just means a lot because people want to do business with people that they can relate to, that they like.
Yeah.
You guys are obviously really likable. I like you guys. And the
appreciate
first time
that.
I saw your Grand Thumb video, that's actually how I found out about you guys. So
Nice.
shout out Flannel Daddy for that one.
Mike's good people. Text me back, dude.
Yeah,
Text
dude,
me
that's
back.
fucked up, man. Me
I know you're
too. I'm
busy.
in your DMs. No, I'm just playing. No, I'm just playing.
I fed him salmon one time. He was
Oh,
cool
nice.
with that. Yeah,
That's pretty
like,
cool.
like my hand in the mouth.
Oh yeah, he seems like a fun, silly.
He's such a
Doesn't
good
take
dude.
himself too seriously, even though he's the shit.
He's a silly goose.
He's
Yeah.
a very silly goose.
I hope to meet you one day, Flannel Daddy, if you ever see this. But
Day one.
yeah. Okay, so Let's get back into it real quick. So since I got it in my mind, I'm going to tell you guys what you should do if you're planning on something. You should sign up for this course, first of all. It's an incredible value. I'm not just saying. I'm not getting any kickback. You guys want to pay me?
I mean, maybe.
Okay.
Not with money.
Okay, so
it's small unit.
small
force
unit,
on force.
Force on force, specifically the course that I took. 3 days. I think I paid around, what's it going for?
$600-700. Yeah.
$700, not including room and board and Sims. But all in, I think for the whole weekend staying at the ranch, it was like $1,000. It was an incredible value and just shop around. I mean, I've looked at all kinds of courses from reputable training facilities, and this isn't coming from you guys. This is coming from me because I did the shopping. I've shopped around, and so it's an incredible value. So you should definitely sign up for the course. Now, what you should also do is subscribe to their channel, watch all of their videos. And because the one thing I thought was like, okay, I'm going to show up and I'm going to fucking dominate because that's how most of things in life happen for me. I just show up and just crush. I have not prepared for this interview at all. Watch the actual footage that they put out for free for you guys to learn. Okay, what's a button hook? What's a center check? What is a crossover? When do we use these things? So on and so forth. There's like 50 videos at this point. There's
and the
ton
intro
of
to CQB playlist is everything you learn on day one of a class.
Exactly.
It's all for free because it's not proprietary to us.
Yeah,
we didn't make it up.
But do yourself a favor and walk through that in your garage.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. I wish I had. They send out a really thoughtful, long email that most people probably don't read. I read it like at 2 in the morning the day before I drove to the class. So take the time, read it, walk through those things, watch their videos, and do not give yourself any other handicaps. For instance, I brought my URGI 14.5 with the 1-to-8 attacker on it, thinking, hey, if I could run an attacker 1-to-8 with a 1.5, or it was actually 1.7 mount, so not too short, but don't give yourself any handicaps. Use a holographic with a riser or something. And those are my pieces of advice to you guys, besides just keeping it open in mind. But when you get there, one of the things that you immediately learn is high port, low port, which I've never done at the range. I've done high ready or low ready, which isn't exactly the same.
Not the same thing.
So that's something you guys might want.
Yeah.
What advice do you guys have for people who want to take a class to prepare?
Yeah, so CQB is about getting to the shooting problem. Shooting is a separate skill, some people might say, but you're going to be doing a whole lot of it in the class. If your shooting capability is poor or you don't know basic weapons handling or safety, you are probably not ready to come to the class. That doesn't mean don't come to the class if you haven't taken 47 high-speed carbine courses, but if you understand how to manipulate the trigger and the safety properly, right? If you understand how to not point guns at people in your team, if you understand how to get the gun high and low and all those things, you're set, right? But we've had guys come to class that didn't know where the safety on their rifle was, right? He had to find the safety, look for it, hit it, and then shoot the target. Okay, he probably should take a different course first. CQB is cool, but if you don't know how to shoot and you CQB your way to the gunfight and then you can't shoot, what's it matter? Does that make sense? Yeah, so we do cover weapons presentation, but it's only to get people on the same page, not only with terminology, but with the standard. So you look at the board behind me, it says weapons presentation as part of day one. That's the first thing we do for about an hour. High port, low port, and scanning position. And then after that, we get into 1 through 4 man center fed, 1 through 4 man corner fed. We add dead space, open doors, closed doors, adjacent spaces, all this stuff. That's all covered in the first day. And guess what? It's also all on our YouTube. Right, it's also all covered on both our Patreons in separate formats. Why is that all out there for free? Well, it's not proprietary, and it's the foundation of almost any course you take.
But also, it does not do it justice just to watch it run through in your garage. It's a whole different thing.
You got to come do it.
You got to come do it, and there's no. I'm not saying, hey, watch these videos and train to replace that. It's just good to supplement with and to keep up. Like afterwards, if I forget something, I can always reference those. But definitely. Don't think you're a fucking wizard for running through cones in your garage. Like, come to a course and see what it's really all about.
It's selfish that we put that information out there for free selfishly because it makes our job easier on day one. It's not because it replaces anything. If I really thought I was going to lose customers by putting out the first third of the curriculum, I wouldn't have done it. What it actually does is gives you enough of a taste to say, wow, this is really interesting. I want to come learn in person. And it also helps build a pathway so I have an easier job teaching your left foot from your right foot when we start actually doing this, right? Because we got dudes with no knees that walk around like a scarecrow and shit. And we have to break them out. Like, have you ever walked, my friend? You know, have you ever walked before? And it's because they've not ever done any of this. And we have to sort of re-teach people some things that they've never considered because they go through life just thinking that shooting on the flat range is all they need. And there are people telling folks, all you need is to know how to shoot on the flat range. All you need is that. Usually if someone's telling you all you need is one thing, it's probably the one thing they teach.
Or sell.
Or sell, yeah. It's the one thing that it's the one thing they have out there, and that's what they think you should buy, right? But we kind of do it all, and we do a lot of it in these classes. What you got?
So day 2, we go back over day 1 to make sure that because you slept, you come back, so we make sure that you retain the information.
Yep.
And that's very similar to what we did in your class. Hey, we ended with this, so we're going to start with the same thing. And then we got into hallway movements, and we went into a couple of different procedures on how to deal with that hallway door, then how to get out of that room back into the hallway. So we show you all those things. And then we started talking about dead spaces, and then we put people in there, so you have to deal with non-threats or threats. So it's a nice progression of things to get people kind of tuned up or primed for the big day, day number 3. And I think it may be at the closer to the end of reps on day number 2, we started introducing that a little bit of FoF stuff. And then remember, by the end of day 3, you went in, I don't know if you recall, but you went in almost 22 rooms
we did the whole
in a
house.
big horseshoe. And they got out the other end of it. I'm like, hey, how'd that feel? Like, holy crap, we just crushed 22 rooms with people, with dead space, with, 5 dudes, full kit, guns, bullets whizzing around, mask on. Yeah, you had your mask on. So it could be a stressful environment, but we build you up in order to deal with that and make decisions and problem solve literally on the move as you're going through those problems.
And that's, again, the adult learning model. I know I got halfway through talking about it, and we squirreled and we came back because we all probably have ADHD.
Yeah, definitely.
I definitely do. So adult learning model is what he just described. We build, and everything that we started with at the bottom on day 1 doesn't ever stop being done. So everything you do on day 1, you do throughout the rest of the course. So we front load a lot of information, and it's in a crawl, walk, run format. So we demo it, talk about it, then demo it, and then we do guided reps. Guided reps is what Jason's talking about building you up. And then there's the testing, all right? In the test, that's where we don't help, and you got to figure it out, and that's those force-on-force reps. When you start getting shot for making a mistake, and daddy didn't come tell you, hey, buddy, you might want to fix that, you got shot by someone as a role player, that's test. And you learn from that test, and then we scale it back to that guided rep. Hey, you got shot for this reason, let's fix it. Okay, and we're back to testing. So it's a constant gauging of your progress, and we're, as the instructors, watching what you're doing and then scaling the lesson based on what you need. So it's not just paintball war. That's what a lot of force-on-force classes, there are courses that are $2,000, $3,000. You got to bring 1,000, 2,000 sims with you, and they're infamous for you just get shot 1,000 times. And people learn from that, like, it was really intense, instead of each time you get shot as an individual lesson. And that's what we try to bring to the table with it.
Yeah, every room is basically a micro drill.
Every room's a micro drill.
It's not like you're fighting 47 dudes inside of the shoot house in Dilly. It's you go in, you find AP in the corner, you're like, okay, what do I do with him? Okay, cool. AP goes resets, and you go back to hunting again.
Yeah.
So you're not fighting, an onslaught of bad guys. It's all right. That room was a micro drill. You guys did good. The role player goes resets, and you continue on, and then another drill happens. So you might see that guy in the first room, and he might be unarmed, and you might see the same guy 3 rooms later, and he's armed.
Yeah.
So you're like, wait a minute, it's just a micro drill.
Yeah, don't make it a scenario, right?
Yeah, it's decision-making process. Like I seen you shooting on the flat range, your new Prodigy just got back. That's not a scenario you built. It's like, hey, I'm going to go from this point, shoot those cardboard, move over there. I'm going to shoot that cardboard, I'm going to run over there and shoot this. It's not a scenario. It's just training. Micro drill here.
Yeah.
What are we getting out of this room? We're processing the corner, processing people. Did it need engagement or verbal commands? Cool, then what's next? And we go out. And so everything is small and built up. And in a nice, easy learning pace. Now, you can attest to this, but day 1 is overwhelming. You are taking information from a fire hose. It's a lot of information, as you can see. But on day 2, you weren't really worried too much about your footwork. Everything else is kind of coming natural. And on day 3, you're just flowing. Busting through doors, getting problem solved, working closed door problems, decision making drills, shooting dudes on the move. Through corner fed rooms or moving across the dead space and so on and so forth. So we show you all that systematically. To make you a professional end user on the back end, you go, holy crap, I just worked with 4 of the dudes that I've never met before in my life, and we absolutely crushed that. Yeah. And you guys can too.
Yeah, 100%. I think that, I told you guys already this, but it was like top 3 coolest things I've ever done in my life. If you're a gun guy and you've never done CQB, it is really cool. Obviously, it's serious, and take it seriously. Don't waste anybody's time, because there's guys who are taking these courses. We were with, I'll edit that name out real quick, but we had a guy who was joining the Marines, young kid, I think he was like 19 years old, super nice kid, but he was, who knows where he was going to go, and he might be doing this shit for real pretty soon. So
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, anyone need another rep? Did it again. Get your ass in there, you crayon eater, and,
Well, like,
and get after it.
We got 4 or 5 guys at this class that are on the Marshals Task Force. Well, was it last month, 2 months ago? Like 8 people on the Marshals Task Force got shot. Like, it's a dangerous, dangerous job. So they're taking the course because they want to improve their skill set for when they have a gunfight with a fugitive that is wanted for a murder charge or whatever else.
Yeah, it's real shit. It's life or death. Yeah.
They want to improve that ability, but you have other guys that are taking it because they're church security, and in the event they have an active shooter, they want to be able to create a cell to move, to evac people and do active shooter stuff. So a lot of people are here for really serious reasons, and they're being taught the same way as the people who are here because they're just curious. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter what your reason for being here is, the principles and the fundamentals drive the same movement.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I think it's cool that you're running with guys you've never run with before from all different backgrounds. So when I ran with the really good dudes at the course, shit, I just got better. But when I ran with the dudes who weren't as good, I had to kind of pick up the slack for them and think about things that I didn't have to think about with the other group. So I learned different things with different guys, different skill levels. Obviously, it was more fun to run with the guys who were good.
You can relax a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. You can relax and kind of rely on their expertise a little bit. But also, like, the reason I'm doing this, so everyone's very clear, I'm first generation American. I think it's so important to be able to fundamentally own firearms. It's the only thing that sets us apart from the rest of the world. And I got family all over the world, and they're amazing people, but they just don't have the opportunities or the freedoms that we have here because of the Second Amendment. And so that's the reason I do this, because I believe it's my duty as an American citizen. I enjoy these freedoms to be able to protect them one day, whatever that looks like. Again,
You make me tear up, man.
Not making scenarios up, but I think about that a lot. It's like, hey, I sit here and I enjoy these freedoms. I need to be ready to defend it from whoever it is trying to take them. But again, not going down that scenarios pathway. I just, I really appreciate you guys doing this. Is there anything else that I missed that you guys might want to?
Why don't you close out with what else we offer? That'd be,
Yeah, that'd be
There's
good.
a ton of other courses, guys. So yeah, we've been talking not only about our ethos and things like that, but specifically about small unit, CQB, force on force. There's 2 other versions of this class, small unit force on paper, which we talked about, and small unit contingencies. That's also force on force, but we include a man down evac procedure. Sometimes you get a false positive for everything went great, right? In force on force classes, you're taught, and I just gave the brief to wrap up today, hey, tomorrow when you get shot, don't fall down and play dead. We don't want to train you that if you take a round, you have to quit fighting. Okay, cool. Well, now we've taught everybody everything's hunky-dory, you're going to get shot and live. So the flip side of it is we also have to have curriculum for what happens when things go wrong.
Yeah.
So we have that. That's going to be like man-down evacs and things like that. But it's not a medical course. So we also have TCCC and then TECC 1 day and 2 day. TECC is the civilian or the first responder version of TCCC. It does not include the 9 lines and the military evac procedures because you guys don't have Chinooks and shit that you can call in, so it doesn't make any sense. So we can reduce it from a 3 to 5 day program to a 2 day program or a 1 day program and charge you less because we're not going to waste your time teaching you something that even might be cool to learn about. You'll literally not ever have the opportunity to do. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. So you have those programs. Those are through NAEMT certifying body, so you get a 3-year cert out of that. I would urge you to take a medical class. It's our lowest selling course because people don't think medical is cool. People think CQB is cool.
It's not sexy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not sexy like CQB.
Guess what? You doing CQB, you do everything right, you still get shot, and you're like, damn, I wish I knew how to use a tourniquet or plug a hole or whatever else.
Yeah, 73% chance to get shot at the initial threshold or the last closed door in the structure.
That's a lot. That's a high number to not know medical. So I would encourage you on that. And then also we already talked about firearms. If you can CQB with the best of them, but if you can't shoot, it doesn't matter. So you have to have, some people call it a hard skill, right? I kind of think that's an interesting term for that, but the hard skill of shooting. So we offer rifle and pistol clinics. We don't really do the 101 classes where it's like, here's your safety, here's the bolt catch, blah, 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 blah. We leave that to like the NRA 4-day classes and your local ranges and stuff. We get into starting to teach you performance for a specific setup. Do you want to perform from concealment? Do you want to perform from a duty belt? Do you want to have a performance with your carbine in a CQB environment? So we do rifle and pistol clinics. We do rifle performance or carbine performance. We do pistol performance, concealment, and duty belt. We do a CQB marksmanship 2-day program. Probably my favorite class that we teach on the flat range.
Yeah, it's bussin'.
It's from it's 7 yards and in. It's on a shot timer, and it is fast as fuck because you have to be.
That's one you should take.
Yeah.
You have to be
He and I are
fast.
coming back to
I didn't
Dilly.
even know y'all had all these fucking classes. And I've been on your website a bunch.
So we
So
run 60 courses
that'll be a
this year.
4.5 day curriculum.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so I'll talk about that next. We have the 2-day curriculum, and when we lump it into the 3-day CQB program, we shunt it down a little bit into a 1.5 day. And we combine it, so we do almost like a camp, or we call it a workup.
Yep.
Small unit CQB workup. So it's 4.5 days. The first day and a half is very, very fast delivery and high performance rifle and pistol with your teammate moving. So you're doing the stuff you're seeing on the board back there, live fire with people on the flat range in a tape house. So there's no walls, there's just cones and ribbons and shit. And that way everyone can watch and see, and we can maintain a little bit higher level of safety because it's not live fire CQB, but it is live fire CQB on the flat range in imaginary walls. Yeah. What that gives you is the confidence to know, hey, I really could shoot real guns around people in a structure. And then from there, with that really solid foundation, you move into 3 days of CQB with non-lethal training aid in the house. And imagine your proficiency level now, because that first day of training that you see on the board back there happened live fire on the range. So you're able to really, really, really build. And that's probably my favorite class that we teach. And we're offering it once this year in July, 2-3 times next year.
Yeah, it'll be a BFR in July, so it'll be
yeah, Ben Franklin Range.
yeah,
Yep.
in Pennsylvania. But
Yep.
we'll be coming back to Dilly, he and I, to do another one.
But we're also doing it in October this year in Tennessee.
Oh yeah, that'll be a
Yep.
live fire
Yeah.
event.
So
it'll
the
be,
end of October in Tennessee this year. We're also going to do it in Dilly next year. We're probably going to repeat it again in some other places, Tennessee, places like
So where
that.
can everyone find all your information?
So it's wild with the internet these days. If you type in Orion Training Group on Google, it'll pop up. Or you can type in oriontraininggroup.com. We do have a website. I often get the email, and it boggles my mind. People will email me from the contact us page on the website asking where they can find information about classes. But in a big white highlighted button, it says shop courses right next to the contact us page. So do yourself a favor. Don't move faster than you can process, all right? Oof. And look at that shop courses button and click it. I know you think I'm an asshole right now, but listen, guys. Listen, guys.
You've probably seen it all, dude. I don't know how you're still
Yeah.
as nice as you are. Both you guys.
I'm not nice. I'm
You guys
putting
are
on a
so
putting on a
sweet.
face.
No, they're sweet.
I do all of the marketing. I do all the social media. I do all the finances. I do all the scheduling. I do the curriculum combining.
Okay.
And I also teach some. So
Nice.
I do a lot of the legwork on that end, and then everyone else that comes in, really they doing the bulk of it because they bring in the expertise, right?
Yeah.
I've been a cop for 8.5, 9 years. I'm pretty good at teaching, but the experience and what's brought by everyone else to the table is what makes OTG run. I just have to do all the bitch work.
Yeah, you were just the guy who brought everyone together, and
That's it.
and because you did that, you're
I'm
left doing the admin shit.
The catalyst for the synergy,
Yeah,
right?
very cool.
So all that to say, go on the website, oriontraininggroup.com, look at the shop courses button. You can also search by your state. You can search by the topic, night vision, NVG, whatever keyword you want to type in, carbine, rifle, pistol, CQB, medical, all that. Or like I said, just type in your state and it'll come up.
Yeah. Do yourself a favor, sign up for a course with these guys. Thank you guys so much for
Absolutely,
your
man.
time.
Thank you for having us.
Another day we'll do more kit setup and all that. We'll
Yeah,
have plenty more videos coming out with these guys. So if you guys like this shit, like, comment, subscribe. If you guys want to see more videos out of OTG, let me know down in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe, stay dangerous. Range J Bro, out.
Appreciate y'all.